We're here in Amsterdam at the Next Web. It feels like a festival here, and we're here with one of the guys of Ethereum. He just did a talk in the Globe, yeah, welcome. Could you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Nick Johnson. I'm a core developer for the Ethereum Foundation. I'm also the tech lead and team lead of ENS, the Ethereum Name Service.
Wow. Could you explain actually what ENS is, just for the broader public?
So ENS's main goal is to bring better usability to Ethereum and blockchain in general by offering human-readable names instead of blockchain addresses. So instead of having to type, 4DA99, etc., 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 you can type myname.eth and get the same result. So the goal is that we think blockchain usability is a bit of a mess, and we're trying to make that better.
Sounds good. And is the status of that project actually? When can we use our own name?
So we launched about a year ago. It's live now. You can use your name right now on any of the many Ethereum clients that support it. What we're working on now is rolling that out to more clients, getting wider support, making it easier to register names, and we're also working on upgrades which will improve the way name registration is handled, and also eventually make it possible to register DNS names like myname.com and use those just like an Ethereum name as well.
Right, so you have actually a connection between the domain name on the web and Ethereum, or how does it work?
Precisely, yeah. You'll be able to treat any domain name just the same way as you do an ENS name.
All right, sounds good. And maybe, of course, the whole industry is actually waiting or looking forward to the Casper update on the Ethereum network. I mean, can you say something about that? What is the status of that?
So there's Casper FFG, or the Friendly Finality Gadget, is the first step in Casper, and we have a working testnet for that right now. It's going well. It'll be a little while before we're ready to roll it out on the mainnet, but I would anticipate that it'll be in the fairly near future. And once we've got that out, we will have a proof of work chain with proof of stake sort of finalization. So it will still require proof of work for sort of basic block-to-block mining, but use proof of stake in order to guarantee that certain checkpoints can never be reverted. And then the next step from that is transitioning to full-on Casper with full proof of stake in place of proof of work. I'm the wrong person for timelines, and researchers, they tend to be a bit canny about telling people when it'll be ready. But I think we're closer to the end than we are to the start, certainly.
All right. So hopefully we can expect the update at least this year, I think, or?
I think certainly for Casper FFG. I think probably your guess is as good as mine for full Casper, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was sort of test network phase by the end of the year, maybe even further than that.
All right, sounds good. And what does it actually mean for the normal user? I mean, I use my Ether web, of my Ether wallet, I must say, and that what for implication does it have for instance, for wallets and that kind of and transactions, of course.
So directly for end users, whether it's on proof of stake or proof of work, should have relatively little impact. What it enables is a lot of the scaling solutions and other improvements depend on proof of stake to be effective. So it's an enabling step for that. It would in principle allow us to sort of increase the throughput of the Ethereum network a bit, but we sort of need to exercise caution there because number of transactions per second isn't the only thing to worry about. We have to worry about storage size and so on and so forth. So I think for users it will mostly be guaranteeing the future of Ethereum rather than giving them immediate new features.
Yeah, okay. So a thing like the crypto kitties, we all know the example that led to congestion on the network. That will be history, or how can we?
The real thing that'll put paid to congestion from things like that will be scaling efforts like plasma sharding and side chains and so forth. Okay. And some of those depend either completely or partly on proof of stake to be fully functional.
So that will be, I mean, when Casper is fully functional, then the congestion will be, of course, and the delay times will be a lot less.
Yes.
What is your connection with Ethereum? I mean, for 2 years you were attached to the foundation. What has happened actually the last 2 years? I mean, you've been one of the pioneering companies in this space. So
Yeah.
how do you look back on it?
So I joined the foundation 2 years ago to work on Go Ethereum, and we've sort of been developing the client. In that interval, I've been one of a small team of people doing it, which has been a real blast. And I feel like Ethereum's usability and its scalability and its robustness has come a long way in that time. Recently, the Ethereum Foundation gave us a grant to work on ENS full-time, so it will go from being a sort of a one and a bit person project to being separately funded with its own staff and so forth. Wow. So we recently formed True Names Limited, which is the company that the non-profit that we'll be operating under. We've hired a number of people already, and we're sort of pressing the accelerator pedal on working on ENS and getting it really widely deployed and sort of universally used.
And you also worked before for Google. Is it different ecosystems, or how can you compare the atmosphere or the vibe?
Certainly, Google's quite different from the Ethereum and the blockchain ecosystem in a lot of ways. It's a centralized company and so forth, but there's a lot that's shared as well. Like the people who work for Google tend to have similar attitudes to the people I've found working on Ethereum and on blockchain. They're enthusiastic about technology. They care about users and individuals. They want to build stuff that is legitimately useful to people. So in some
no hard feelings against Google.
No, I honestly, if it weren't for the fact that working on Ethereum is so damn cool, I'd probably still be at Google. It's just that this is such an amazing opportunity, and we're building such amazing stuff. I couldn't help but go off and work on it.
All right. How did actually the ball get roll? I mean, how did you enroll in the Ethereum Foundation via a friend, colleague, or how did it work out?
So I actually got contacted by a recruiter for a large financial company saying, would you like to come work with us on Ethereum? And I went, well, not really, but this Ethereum thing seems interesting, and looked into it and got really fascinated. It feels like we're building legitimately new infrastructure, like we're building the next internet, to borrow a phrase from Silicon Valley. And so I sort of I started working on that in my spare time, and next thing I know I'm getting a call from Jeff Wilkie at the foundation saying, would you like to work on Go Ethereum with us? And so I kind of went there and never looked back.
All right. And if you look at the future, where will this industry be in the next 5 to 10 years? Are we having a new infrastructure then?
I really think so, and I certainly hope so. I think it's very difficult to predict what it will look like in 5 or 10 years just because it's so new. But I think that in the long run, blockchain technology will be another infrastructure building block. It'll be maybe less hyped today, but maybe more useful than today. And I think we'll see new technologies built on top of it that just make it kind of commonplace, the same way we don't really think about HTTP or TCP.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. And so actually do you actually believe in the whole decentralized community? Will there be more dApps, for instance? Can we use, instead of the Google Play Store, App Store, can we use the dApps?
I do, and I think we will see a lot more of them. At the same time, I think to some degree there is a little bit of sort of fundamentalism out there where people assume that something has to be 100% decentralized or you may as well not have it. I think there's a lot of room for intermediate solutions, and I think that often usability can suffer building a completely decentralized solution with today's tools, and that sort of intermediate stepping stones are going to be necessary. So, I think we will see a lot more decentralized applications, but I think we'll see more hybrids as well, and I think that's good.
Yeah, because a few questions. Because these companies in Silicon Valley are quite powerful. And of course the banks. Do you see? I don't know. It's hard to. But do you see these companies to become smaller? Or do you think that Google and also Facebook is going to develop their own blockchains, private blockchains? They're busy.
I don't think they'll get smaller without a fight, that's for sure. I think we'll see some will go the way of Yahoo and gradually become irrelevant. Some will adapt, and we'll see some new behemoths sort of arise out of the new technology. And if I could predict which would be which, then I guess I'd be a very rich man, but I'm not.
Do you trade yourself, or?
So when I first got involved with Ethereum, I bought some Ether because I believed in it, and I was like, if I'm working on this, I should probably have some investment in it. I don't really day trade. I've acquired a few tokens through working with them and so forth, and that's about it.
All right. Just hodl.
Pretty much, exactly, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Do you do a European tour for Ethereum, or you go back and work very hard?
Pretty much going straight back to London to work on ENS. Yeah.
All right. That's good. Thank you very much,
My
and
pleasure.
all the best.
Thank you.
Yes.